Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christy, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy, the recap. This was another fabulous week. So I had Erin Krueger and Vivian Okeke with me this week. Both women are authors, are founders and CEOs, are brilliant, are the kinds of people that you could just sit and have coffee with and really enjoy. So we'll start with Erin and talk about kind of her focus. So the biggest thing that she talked about, which is so cool to me how these things work together, because I don't know who's going to come first or next or how it's going to fit exactly in the same week. But in her conversation, she is a realtor by trade, but then she created this fabulous real estate business and works with lots of different people. But her big takeaway was that trauma is going to happen, but it doesn't define us. So she lost her parents early in life, earlier than she should have had to be standing on her own 2 feet. What's interesting is Vivian faced the same situation. Vivian lost her parents, her mom when she was 8 and her dad when she was 16. How tragic and how impressive that both of these women have used that trauma to turn them into strong, helpful, brilliant beacons of light. When we learned about Vivian, Vivian did lose her parents when she was very young and then decided that she really wanted to help people. And so she works in the HR space. And within the HR space, she has written a book called Beneath the Cornerstone. And in her book, she talks about the human thread that kind of holds everything together. Y'all, we're all in the people business. And I think that's what both Erin and Vivian talked about that is worth mentioning. Every one of us is in the people business, and that people business is part of our personal life, our professional life, and everything in between. We can't separate ourselves from the people business, and we shouldn't want to. We should really want to be the best versions of ourselves and get the best versions of our people, not just at work, but period. And why don't we? I asked Vivian that question, right? Why, if we know that being good to our people is the number one factor in success, why don't we? And I agree with her answer. She talked about profit and that we tend to focus really closely on profit, and we forget that you will never meet your full potential if your people aren't happy. I've mentioned on here the happiness advantage, and that's a study that was done by Harvard about the humans and what happens when the humans are happy. And when the humans are happy, they are 31% more productive. Why wouldn't we want happy humans? 31% increased productivity is not something that you can fake. That is something that only happens when you focus on getting better. And so you all are listening to this because you want a little more productive joy, that you want to help create it, to build spaces where it exists. And I am here to encourage you to do that by design and not by default. I think sometimes good things happen by default. Like you didn't mean for this really great thing to happen, but all of a sudden it did, and then yay. And those are wonderful experiences. But what if you could create that kind of space with intentionality? My husband and I and a couple good friends have started a company called Intentionality Group. And when we came up with the name, we were very thoughtful about it because we wanted this to be a space where if you do things with intentionality, then you get the results you wanted and not the results you ended up with. And I think that both Erin and Vivian would agree that when we're intentional with what happens to us, with how we react to those situations, and with our reaction to action, right? What we do with that reaction is what will determine how successful or not we are. So I want you to be intentional today. I want you to think about the deep-seated stuff that's going on in your space. And I want you to think about what you can intentionally do today to shift your tomorrow. Because every action that we're doing right now is going to impact our tomorrow. And I want a pretty good tomorrow. I don't know about you, but I don't want tomorrow to suck. Do you? I'm hopeful that you didn't have to go through anything as tragic as both Erin and Vivian had to. And yet we can learn from what they had to face. We can learn from those tragic things that others have had to deal with or our own. We all have them. One of the things that Vivian and I talked about was childhood trauma and how when we have childhood trauma, we often downplay some of the successes that we have, whether that's self-preservation or trying to blend in or hiding in the closet. There are a lot of reasons why, but often those who have had traumatic experiences as kids then downplay the really awesome things that they've done as adults. And I saw that in Erin. I saw that in Vivian. I see that in myself where I will just be like, big deal. Yeah, I did that. That was okay, but not ever giving it the credit that it deserves. So why am I rambling on about this? Because I am guaranteeing you that somebody listening to this is in that space where you just accomplished a really big deal, something, a big deal thing. It might have been buying your first house or selling your first big thing. And maybe you're in sales and you finally closed that deal, or you had a baby, or I don't know, I'm going to be on a TEDx talk. Those kinds of things are worth celebrating. Actually, so Cash, that I interviewed maybe through, I don't know, 5 months ago, she talked about how the celebration only lasts a few minutes and then you're moving on to the next thing. And I'm going to challenge you to let the celebration last at least a few hours. Take a minute to celebrate the gains, to enjoy the fact that you did the thing, whatever the thing was. Don't just gloss over it. It's a big deal. And so I'm here to say congratulations. If nobody else did, here's your congratulatory yay. Good job. And I want you to remember that whatever you're doing is by design and not by default. And you are pretty exceptional. So today, I want you to be reminded that everything that you do, it matters. And it is helping you get a little closer to blending both fun and action so that you can create a little more productive joy. So keep doing that and definitely figure out a way today to turn fun into action.